Season 5. We're back, baby. And it's the Sony Open right here. Fairway to Heaven on the STT Sports Network. We're live in 30 seconds.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 woo!
And a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Fairway to Heaven right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live on YouTube and Twitter, guys. Wherever you're watching, please hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that share button as we grow the STT Sports Network, as we grow Fairway to Heaven and all the other great shows on this. The race to 500 subscribers is on, so please, whether you like golf content or not, sit back for the next hour as we break down the first full-fledged event of the 2025 PGA Tour season. Have some fun, make some jokes, and guys, like I said at the beginning in Cold Open, this is the debut of Season 5. I cannot believe, first off, no offense, Stevie, you're muted for a second, that Jason and I, this is starting 5 years of doing this. It started with the November Masters, and then after that, we started this show. So I can't believe Jason has put up with me for this many years and doing this show with me. But guys, I'm super excited to have this season kick off and welcome officially a part of the crew, my man, I keep pointing to the wrong side, Stevie Fuentes, who was here a few times last year. Check him out on Steampunk Entertainment as well. Stevie Fuentes has joined the crew. Gentlemen, good evening, and are we ready to kick this season off?
Dude, we're back, baby. I mean, like you said, 5 years has gone really fast, man. I mean,
It really has.
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. I think we did a few football shows first, and then we did the golf. We're like, let's do a golf show, and it's just been going ever since. That's crazy that it's been 5 years.
It really, the bromance has lasted that long. I can't believe it. And our new bromance is now a threesome because Stevie Fuentes has joined the show.
Jesus.
Stevie, for those that don't know you, I know you were on a few shows last year. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where they can find you and what's going on in your life.
So last year I was on a few times. I really enjoyed doing the DFS, and not too many people, like to talk golf the way yourself and Jason do. So it was like, this was so much fun. So I really appreciate you guys inviting me to do this all season. Feel like it's a good good season to come on to, Season 5. I am over at Streampunk Entertainment now, no longer with EOP. And excited for this new change, excited for this new season. The holidays were good. How about you guys? Holidays are nice. You got your tree up, Jason.
Listen,
Take that damn tree down.
Somebody said on the radio the other day that you should keep your tree up until the Lions lose in the playoffs. So we're going for it.
So according to Steve, that's going to be next week. So
true.
Like in 2 weeks.
Really soon.
Yeah, so what the farmers open, the farmers insurance might be a little weird here, especially in case of Detroit. If Detroit ends up playing the Eagles,
man.
Rough week here.
Hey, real quick,
I love the beginning of the golf season because all my successful events, like the farmers, are early in the season. Sorry, Jason.
Sorry, man. I was just gonna say, can we talk about your shirt? Kind of paying homage to the beginning. Your former network.
This is the original. I was like, what am I going to wear tonight? This is, my original network that I helped found, the AAT Sports Network. It's what it's called now. Used to be AAT Birds. I figured I had to crack out the original shirt from the original show that started everything, that created this bromance between me and Jason. I had to go old school with the eight. I mean, you can't see it, but the logo's cracking and it's wearing off because it's 5 years old and been worn 4,000 times.
It looks good. No, I remember back in the day doing the shows on the AAT Birds at the time, and all my friends asking me why I was doing a show on Eagles networks. And I'm like, there's a long story. Don't worry about it. Here we are.
Yeah, here we are 5 years later. And that's why we didn't want to call it an Eagles network or a Philly network. We just call it STT Sports Network. Let's just have a very generic name right there. All right, let's get into it. It is 2025. The new golf season is underway. Last week was the Century Tournament of Champions. Hideki Matsuyama lapped the field in that event there. So here's the first question. Before we get into it, I have a couple like general topics I want to cover really, really quickly. The beginning of last season saw a lot of long shot winners from the Century to the Sony and so on and so on. And then first event this year, Hideki Matsuyama, one of the best players when healthy in the world, came out and won. We'll start with you, Jason. Do you foresee this year being one of those years where we get back to the better players winning week in and week out, or are we going to still see that opportunity for a lot of the long shots to get their first win here early in the season?
I think you're still going to see the long shots win a lot. I think depending on what week it is, obviously, if any week that Scotty's in, you're not going to see that, unfortunately. But weeks like this, where it's like there's so much parity, I think, in golf right now, where it's like there's not that much of a difference. I'll take Scotty out of the mix. There's not really that much of a difference between the guys that you see in the 10Ks versus the guys that you see in like the 8Ks or the 9Ks. So I think you're going to see a lot of long shots still, obviously, depending on if Scotty's in or not in the field, which sounds like he's going to be out for a couple more weeks now.
So he's looking at Pebble Beach now as his first event. Steve, what do you make of the end of or the way last year started with the long shots compared to this year? Do you agree with Jason that there's still a strong chance that we might get some long shots winning this year early on?
I think there's the chance for it just because of how strong these young golfers are coming off the Korn Ferry Tour. But I kind of feel like these golfers, these big name that, Matsuyama, what he did, Morikawa, Sanjay, Oberg, sorry. They are kind of probably a little pissed at how much Scotty just ran away with this last season. And you look at like how Tom Kim was during the what was that? Was that the President's Cup? How hype he was, and he was really into it. And I think you're going to get some of these bigger names more consistent this season that are winning some of these signature events.
Yeah, I got one other thing that I do want to address, and it's a little bit more somber and everything. But this event last year was won by Grayson Murray. And then obviously Grayson Murray had the tragic end of his life later on in the season. And I just hope that the PGA Tour at some point on Wednesday or Thursday before the event starts does something to pay homage to the young man, do something to honor his family, to honor his legacy. He did so much for golf for the last couple of years, trying to improve, the mental side of it, getting golfers help and stuff like that, and trying to bring a light to those lower guys, those long shots that never win, how much of a struggle it is for them to pursue a golf career. I'm really hoping that this week that the PGA Tour does right by him and his family and kind of does something special for him. When I was starting my research, I kind of forgot that this was the week that he won, and it just made me take a step back for a second and just put life in perspective. We're here to have fun. We're here to gamble on golf. And golf is a sport, but life is bigger than sports. And I just want to make sure I put it out there. And I always tell everybody all the time, the holidays are just over now. The holidays are a tough time for a lot of people, but not just the holidays. The New Year is a tough time for a lot of people. My DMs are always open for everybody. If you ever, I don't care if you're a stranger or not, you can always reach out. There's always someone or an outlet out there that's willing to help. So Grayson Murray's an excellent example of don't feel alone. There's always someone willing to help.
I think that's the biggest thing, like you just said, is like there's always someone there. You might not think there is, but it kind of puts things into perspective for us too. I mean, obviously we're not professional golfers, but I think that just putting things into perspective, like we sit here and we'll complain when we have 3 bad weeks in a row. It's like, really? I mean, DFS golf is so far down the spectrum on any of our lives, like personal lives. Like we have kids, we have wives, whatever we have. It's like that's way more important than this stuff. It's like this is a game, and obviously him being at the top of his craft for 1 week, you think would make him so happy, but it just shows you like demons are demons. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, do you have anything to add to that before we get back to the fun and get off the somber conversation?
No, and like you said, I hope they say something either Wednesday or Thursday and do something, whether it's a moment of silence or it's just a prepared speech, because it's just like what you did kicking off this show. It's something that needs to be brought up. It's something that people need to feel comfortable talking about, talking about these demons and making sure that other people are there for you to talk about things so that, people are there for each other. So it's
Absolutely.
I hope they do something for sure.
Rashad, we are actually going to talk TGL later in the show. I just asked these boys before we went live if they knew anything about it. I'm not gambling this week. I'm going to watch tonight, and then I will start gambling on TGL because why wouldn't I bet on any form of golf? So we will talk about the TGL later in the show, no doubt it. But let's get back to it. Let's get into it. We are Sony Open, the official first full field event, 144 players in Honolulu. And hold on, I wrote down phonetically, as you guys told me, Waialae Country Club. I think I remembered how to say it there. In Honolulu, a much different golf course than last week at Kapalua, for the Century. Very tight, I love every year I use the same notes. I use the word claustrophobic this week all the time, type of golf course. Jason, you're the course expert all the time. What do we know about Waialae and why it's going to lay a problem? See what I did there? Yeah, that was really cheesy.
I gotta go.
It sounded much better up here in my head than it did coming out. Tell me what you know about Waialae Golf Course or Country Club.
Like you said, it's a lot different than last week. 7,044 yards, par 70, Bermuda grass greens, a lot of bunkers on the course, 83 bunkers, water on 5 holes. I don't think last week there was any water, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a different setup. It's like we've seen the longer courses recently, especially in the fall and then last week, but this is going to be obviously a shorter course. But I also think at the same time that guys are still going to try to overpower this course. I don't think you're going to see the number being so crazy on guys calming down off the tee. I think you're still going to see driver 60, 65% off the tee. So the game's changed a little bit now. Guys just they're not going to dink and dunk around the course. Guys are just going to go for it now. So I think you're still going to see, it's going to be a challenge, obviously. It's going to be a little bit different. You're going to see some guys club down and you're going to see some guys go for it. So I like the challenge.
Steve, what do you know about Waialae and its conditions and style here?
I feel like this is definitely a course that fits people who have good course history and are in good form coming into it. 12 of the last 14 winners have had either a T8 or better in one of their last 4 trips here. And that, to me, I want to look back at last week at the Century and then look back at course history and see how some of these golfers were playing, and especially to start the season. It's hard to judge exactly where guys are, but I think this is a good course because, kind of like what Jason said, you can either be a bomber and you can make up for it with your second shot, or if you're good around the greens, or if you're a short game guy, you don't have to go driver off the tee. So guys like Henley are going to be able to, he's won this before, so he's going to have, you're going to have your good mixture of types of golfers to be able to choose from on this course.
You bring up course history here, and I didn't fact check that. I got it from PGA Tout, my man. It's the first thing I read every single week out of doing my prep, and he got a stat from Data Golf. I don't even know what Data Golf is. It's a website that does data on golf, I guess. It's the second most predictive course for course history on the PGA Tour to Augusta National. So it's Augusta and then Waialae, the most important course history courses. So that's something to keep in mind. I also read that about how firm and fast the fairways and greens are. So while Jason, you say people are still going to try to bomb it with the thicker rough that they've grown out over the last year here, accuracy is going to come into play. Majorly, you can't, hit driver and run it 4 yards, 4 feet into the rough, because it's going to make it very difficult for you to get there. And you need to be in the fairway because of how fast and firm those greens are as well. So we need guys, in my opinion, that are going to keep the ball in play as much as possible. Do you agree with that, Jason?
I do, to a certain extent. I think I'm interested to see what the rough looks like this week. I think it might be, I know they're saying, the rough's going to be grown out a little bit. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I think you're still going to be able to play out of the rough. I am really focusing on good drives this week. Like, I don't want guys that are spraying it everywhere, but at the same time, I'm not necessarily worried about always hitting the fairway. I just want to leave, guys that leave themselves with a playable second shot. And I have another point to kind of go off of what Steve said, like the past course history and stuff. Course history, 100% is really important here. It's also interesting to look at guys that have played at the Century. So 8 of the last 11 winners at this tournament played the week before at the Century. However, 2 of the last 3 have not. So it's weird. It's like for the past decade, it was like you had to play the week before, and then 2 out of the last 3 have not played the week before. So it's interesting. I don't know. I personally don't like trying to guess, like what Steve said. I don't like trying to guess where guys' games are at. I want to see a guy that came out last week, even like a guy like Billy Horschel, who didn't play great necessarily, but like he was at least out there and he's getting his game back. And you can practice all you want, but it's different when you're out there playing for the money.
I got more of a question for you guys and see if you can answer it first. Something I've never done this before. This is the first week I did this while I was building my player pool or potential pool, and I was looking, do I want to play this guy or not? I'm looking at their course history. I'm looking at their stats, et cetera, et cetera. For guys, I was not necessarily on the fence, but like maybe teetering on a little bit one way or the other. I went and I started looking at just Januaries for the last 3 or 4 years. Guys that start fast, because there's certain guys in this field, a Tyler Montgomery, an Adam Svensson, guys that play in that fall swing, even if they don't play in the Century, tend to come out fast to start the year. Also, certain guys just play well in Hawaii, which is Century through, what is it? First 3 weeks are in Hawaii, first 4 weeks are in Hawaii. Yeah. First 3 weeks, I believe there's certain guys that just play great golf in January because you have certain types of greens and courses, in Hawaii. Do you think that's even remotely something that I should be keeping in my head, or am I thinking too deep, Steve, in that?
No, I don't think you're thinking too deep into it. I think guys like Sepp Straka, who can be streaky, this is a good week to be able to get those guys out of the way, like Keegan Bradley, who's probably going to play good, who doesn't later on in the season once everyone is warmed up and is playing a lot better. These are the good weeks to kind of use those guys and see, go back into January and see how those guys from previous years, see how they played, but also kind of see, did they tail off? Because is this a good week to get them out of the way and get their good weeks and use them?
Jason, anything to add to that theory that I had?
No, I think you're right on point. I want to see guys that have played, especially see how they play in January, because I agree with you with both your points. Like I want to see guys that have played in some of these good guys. Like Xander hadn't played in forever last week, or some of these big name guys hadn't played in forever. Like I want to use guys that had good falls that can kind of hopefully build off of it, even though they haven't played in now a couple months.
All right, let's take a look at this week's field. And let's go into it. Obviously, there's only 2 guys in the 10K and above range, so we're just going to lump 9K and above, which starts with Hideki Matsuyama, who won last week, drops to the 9K with Siwoo Kim, who is a guy that's had success here and on the initial part of the season. I think Siwoo Kim is a former winner here as well. Steve, give me 1 or 2 names from 9 or K and above that you're eyeing at. I know we talked before the show that you guys are not thrilled with this top range here.
The only part I love Corey Connors. I think he's going to have an amazing season. I think he's going to get a win. I think he's going to be up there in leaderboards on the weekend in some majors. But he T7, T6, T5 in his last 3 individuals. He is my favorite in this range. I'm betting him a lot.
Jason,
this range is tricky for me. I kind of told you guys a little bit before the show. It's not that I don't like these plays, because I agree. Like what Steve said, I mean, Connors has been awesome. Henley has been awesome. Henley's been really good here too with a win. That was a while ago, but a win here. It's like I just worry about those 2 guys in particular having win equity. Like, do we think those guys can win a golf tournament? That's the biggest thing for me. My favorite in this range, honestly, is Hideki. I mean, I know that it's paid up a little bit, but I just feel like he's the guy that has fits this course the best, I think, with his approach game being so good. And if he putts anywhere near, I know last week might have been the outlier, but if he putts anywhere like he putted last week, I mean, I like him to go back to back. I think only 2 people have ever gone back to back at Century and then Sony. But I like, out of those 3 in terms of who I think can win, I think it's Hideki.
Okay, all right. So here I got one more question. The ownership projections at this point are kind of weird to me in this range. Hideki's only projected 15%, 15.5% right now. These numbers coming from fantasynational.com. Corey Connors and Russell Henley are over 20%. But then you drop down, Tom Kim's 11.5%, Keegan Bradley's 13%, Benny On's just under 13%, Matt McNeely's 15%. You got guys in this range, Siwoo Kim, who's won this event, had success. He's only 10%. There's not a lot of players this early in the week that are clicking on these names. Is that because of what you're saying, Jason? or is that just because people just don't know what they're doing yet in this range?
I think it's just so spread out. I mean, you're seeing, you're not seeing guys with crazy high ownership, but you're seeing, I mean, like just from 9K and above, you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in double figure ownership. So I think it's so spread out that I think that they're not 100%. I think there's going to be a lot of people that aren't confident in starting their lineup with Henley and Connors, which my argument would be like, you could probably fit Henley and Connors in your lineup to start. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. I think another guy that's interesting in this range is going to be Tom Kim. Yeah. If there's a course that's made for him, it seems like it would be this course. It's like a shorter guy that, good on approach and everything. I think Tom Kim could be a sneaky good play.
Tom Kim's my top play in this range. I placed my largest bet on him to win this. I know he's only played here once and missed the cut, but Tom Kim will probably be my highest owned top end guy. And if he stays under 12% ownership like he is right now, I think actually my usage of him will probably raise that number up a little bit. But I think Tom Kim is a much different player than people realize. And yet you're right. Spot on. Perfect for this course. I do actually not mind Keegan Bradley. I did bet on him as well. I think we're going to see a different Keegan Bradley this year with everything that went on at the end of last year. I think he's out to prove himself and to make a statement this year. I know he's not the most popular guy on tour, but I think they're the two guys that I've zoned in on in this range that I would like to, like I said, I bet both of them, but I see myself clicking their names a lot this week. Going into the 8K range here, a lot of names, a lot of different names. I think there's some mispriced names as well in this range. JT Poston, Pendrith, I've heard a lot of talk about. Eckroat. I think Luke Clanton is a little overpriced personally. Ben Griffin, Harry Hall. Steve, we'll start with you again. 8K range. Where are you looking, my man?
To go back to the 9K real quick, one other name that I think could have a breakout season, talking about like a young up and comer, Robert McIntyre. Played well last week. I think he had a few good wins last year. I think he's another one in the 9K that could be popular. But in the 8K, Pendrith, Harry Hall, and Sepp Straka. I just like their current form. Taylor Pendrith, this is a course. I mean, he's got all the tools in the bag to be able to play on a course like this, that if you got to hit it accurate off the drive, he can do it. If he's got a hit out of the rough, he's going to be able to do it. He's good with his short game. He's good with the putter. Pendrith, I think, is going to be very highly owned, though. So I think you're going to see going to guys in the lower. You're going to Kitayama is another name that I think could be kind of have a breakout performance in the first half of the season. So
there's a lot more higher owned percentage guys in this 8K range, with Pendrith is almost 17, Eckroat's almost a little over 16, Clanton is over 17, Ben Griffin is almost 18%. Jason, before you give your names, answer my man Josh Siegel. He's saying Kirk Kitayama and Austin Eckroat, they're his two 8K range guys. I agree with one. I'm not sold on the other. Jason, what are your thoughts on those two names?
I actually agree with both. I like Eckroat a lot. I think Eckroat's underrated for how good he is. And then Kitayama really popped in my model, and I was a little bit surprised. But then I looked into him, and it's like he hasn't had the best history here, I don't believe. What did he – yeah, I mean –
he's 24th, 73rd in this cut.
Hasn't been the best, but I feel like he kind of turned over a new leaf last season. I think he's a lot better player than he used to be. So I like that. I do like that, but I think that's going to be different. Like Steve said, I think Pendrith is by far the best play in this range. I mean, he used to be the guy that just bombed it, and he still is. He can still bomb it, but he can putt now, which is huge. And his mid-iron game is so strong, and his putting, I think he's 8th in the field in putting. Like he's a really good golfer. And that's going to be chalk I think I'm going to eat this week, because I think that his whole overall game is just so good, and I think there's win equity there. So that's definitely my favorite in that range. Luke Clanton's interesting to me because he is so good. I mean, like we've talked about it, he's really good. He's still an amateur.
Yeah, he's played 8 professional events in his career.
He's still an amateur, which is funny.
And he's priced so high. His ownership is so high. And everybody's clicking on him. And I think his game fits this course, but I think too many people are leaning on Luke Clanton at this point.
See, I think I actually would argue the other way. I would actually argue that his game does not fit this course. I think he's better on these courses that are longer because he bombs it the way he does, and his short game is so bad. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. So I'm going to watch his ownership. I originally clicked on him, and I still haven't clicked, but I think his talent's there, but I just don't know if this is the course fit for him.
Yep. A lot of this high ownership, I'm going towards, if I'm going to click somebody in this range that's getting high ownership, I'm going to go Ben Griffin. And, Ben Griffin has had a little bit of success here. I just lost him on my page. 30th last year, 12th the year before that. Ben Griffin, I think, is overpriced. But on the flip side, I think that overpriced might eventually drive that higher ownership down because Ben Griffin's a guy that's in the low 7Ks most week. Sometimes on deep fields in the 6K. Him being in the low to mid 8K, I do think eventually that drives his price down. That's the name I'm looking at. And Josh, we were talking about this earlier in the show, that the fall swing numbers and those that have had great starts to the season in January in the last couple of years, it's very important to look at the fall swing. It's very important to look at January numbers over the last couple of years. And there's a couple guys later on the board that fit both those molds as well that we like. Real quick here, let me get back to my Fantasy National screen. 7K. There are a lot of names in the 7K. Steve, what did you say? How many names are in this range, you say?
I think 44 names in the 7K range. Quality names,
range.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. I mean, you got Cam Davis, you got Harris English, Denny McCarthy. You got big-time names in this range. We'll start with you, Jason. Give me one or two names that you really like, at least in the top half of this range.
It's funny because that kind of plays to what I was saying earlier. I think there's so much parity, not necessarily with the top guys and everybody else, but I feel like there's not that much difference between guys you see all the time in the 9Ks and then guys you see in the 7Ks, like these guys. Like, there's not that much of a difference between these guys and the higher guys. I think they're so even. My favorite play in this range is Chris Kirk.
Man, you took my guy.
The course history here is so good. I just love exactly how he sets up for this course. Obviously, the putting always worries me because his short game is so bad. I'll stick to the top half of the range right now. That's my favorite play by far. And then I like Cam Davis. He's for a bomber, he's good on these short courses for whatever reason. And I just feel like he played well last week, especially the last 3 rounds. And I just think that he's a guy that we could see him win.
Chris Kirk fits exactly what I'm talking about. First at Century last year, 18th at the Sony Open. The year before in 2022, early in the season, where I lost it. I had it, now I lost it. Here it is, 2023. He was 3rd at the Sony, 3rd at the American Express. Came out of Ball of Fire, 2022. Same thing happened. Hot early in the season, with the 27th at the Sony Open. This is a guy that starts the season hot every single year. Something about Hawaii, Chris Kirk, seems to thrive at this point of the year. I love it. And I do agree with you also on who was the other name you mentioned there? The Cam Davis. I love Cam Davis at the top of the board. There's going to be a lot of Cam Davis and Chris Kirk in my lineups this week. Steve, where are you at?
Chris Kirk has taken over. Sorry to interrupt, but he's taken over as remember how I used to feel about Stuart Sink, trying to get him in every lineup I could? That's how I feel about Chris Kirk now for whatever reason. He's like my guy that I don't know why I like him so much, but I do.
Rashad says, enjoy the discounted burger. I got burned trying to find the week that Daniel Berger was going to break out last year. I lost a lot of money in DFS lineups by playing Daniel Berger last year. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait to
he's going to
figure it out. I don't know. I don't know about
at least
Daniel
once
Berger.
this year.
What's that?
He's on my list.
He's
on my list.
He's on my maybe list for sure.
He's on my list. And just like Rashad said, he's starting to play like his old self coming back from that injury. But the other guy, I like Mackenzie Hughes. I also like Cam Davis and Kirk, but Mackenzie Hughes, he's great off. He never really gets penalized off the tee. Great putter. This kind of nice course fit for him.
He's been on fire with the putter for the past 5 or 6 months at least too. He's been the best putter on tour.
Back to Daniel Berger for a second. I know he was 2nd in November at the RSM. He was 7th at the Sanderson. Then he went 35th, 39th, 62nd. Then earlier in the year, 21st at the U.S. Open, miscut. Every time he's shown a little glimpse, 13th at the Byron Nelson, then 45th, miscut. Like every time he's shown that little glimmer of hope, then he goes back to beat up, banged up Daniel Berger. So I'm going to wait to see him put 2 or 3 events. I don't care if I don't get him at the discounted price. I just
That's
can't.
What I was going to say.
Yeah, and he's at 14% ownership right now. More people talk about him. That number's going to continue going up because of the quote-unquote discounted price. I'm a full fade on Daniel Berger this week. And I know it's contrary to everybody else. But hold on. Let me pull him up here again. What's his price? 75? I mean, I'll go same as Power at 74. Yeah. I'll go Putnam at 74. I'll go Lucas Glover or Nicholas Echeverria at 73. I'll go a lot of names before I go Daniel Berger. In my opinion, that's just me, guys.
I think a lot of people think that he's getting healthy now, and I think his back injury was way worse than we thought. Like, I mean, you don't miss 18 months of a sport unless your back is really messed up. So if he's healthy finally, which hopefully he is, I like him a lot this season.
I mean, Daniel Berger was a guy that we had predicted, Jason, like 2 years ago on this show. When we did our kickoff show 2 years ago, I had him winning a major. I don't remember if I predicted him to win the PGA or the U.S. Open, but I predicted at the start of 2023, he was winning a major, and then obviously the injury happened.
He was like towards the top of that step below. Like, he had the superstars like the Justin Thomases and like those guys at that point. He was like right below them. I thought.
Yeah, he was that close. Steve, where else at the bottom mid of this range are you looking at here?
The bottom of the range. Let me see. Who did I have? I didn't really have anyone at the bottom of the range. I like Svensson though. I like both of the Svenssons. I like both of them this week. And then
more than one Svensson.
Yeah, Jesper.
I didn't know who Jesper was. Never heard of Jesper Svensson.
Come on. I think he might be the better of the Svenssons. Come on. But Griot.
It's interesting.
He's another one in the lower where, I mean, you could almost make a whole lineup out of 7K guys and stay away from the top if you just wanted to do a 7K lineup and just be crazy doing something. But Griot and Svensson at the bottom of the 7K range, I like.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about multiple Svenssons even exist.
I did not even know that
until just now. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on that right now.
He's one of my 6K guys.
Okay. I didn't dive too deep into the 6K.
Stay away from
I'm going to throw a couple of other names at you, Jason. You can let me know if you think any of these are good plays. I like JJ Spawn, even at 10.5%. I know everybody's hyping up Nick Taylor, but I'm going to stay on the Nick Taylor bandwagon as long as he stays under 10, 11% ownership. There are two names I'm eyeing up, and I already mentioned them once. Echeverria. I don't know if I say his name right there or not. Yeah. Verria. And of course, Matt Kuchar, who has fantastic course history, yet is 7,200 and only 6% projected ownership right now. They're all names I wasn't going to play 20 lineups this week, but I might because I like so many of these names down here.
Yep. Yeah, I like those guys. Nick Taylor's interesting to me. I think Nick Taylor's a bet. I think his number is going to get to like 15%, and that's too high for me, even though he has really good course history. My two favorites in this range are Patrick Fishburne, really good on short courses. He's keeps the ball in play, basically. He's good on par fives, decent putter, and he just scores on these short courses. And then Chandler Phillips, he had a super good fall, and he's like one of those guys that like nobody ever talks about. But like if you look at his numbers and you look at his finishes over the past, the whole fall swing, he's a really solid golfer for 7,200. So those are my two favorites down there.
No, I agree with what you say on Chandler Phillips for sure, because he's one of those guys that in weaker fields, and this is not as weak as it normally is at Sony Open. Yeah. There are 10 top 30 golfers in this field this week, but it is still, relatively speaking, a pretty weak field. And these are the kind of fields that guys like Chandler Phillips can play pretty well at right now. And you really think Nick Taylor is going to get up to about 15%?
I think so. I was surprised.
That's why I'm holding off on making lineups right now because I'm worried about some of those guys.
I just hear every single podcast they talk about him. So, and his course history is obviously.
I did bet him. He was like I bet Tom Kim, and then I bet Nick Taylor.
He's still
my first two bets I made.
He's still 100-1, so I would recommend betting him.
I got him at 110-1. So, and with what we talked about at the beginning, last year all the long shots winning. Nick Taylor's won 4 times on tour. I know he won once last year. There is some quote unquote win equity in dropping a couple of bucks on a 110-1 Nick Taylor.
Wasn't Nick Taylor the one that won when Adam Hadwin ran out there and got tackled?
That was Nick Taylor. Yeah,
Canadian Open, right? Canadian Open, yeah.
That was in 23, right?
Yeah.
My betting card is only big enough for two Canadians, Connors and Pendrith. I can't add a third. I can't add a third to it.
Are there 3 Canadian golfers that exist? Well, there are because Adam Hadwin. Are there even 4 Canadian golfers out there?
Steve's upset about the turmoil going on in Canada right now. So.
I cannot deal with it. Only 2 golfers.
Can't do it.
The Canadian Open. It's my favorite week of the year right there, just for that right there. All right. Long shots. Anybody in the 6K? I mean, there's a lot of names down here. I have 4 names on my potential player pool right now. 3, I know why, and 1, I don't even know why, but I'll get into that in a second. Jason, anybody down here you like? Did Jason freeze up on us there? All right. Steve, you
Okay.
take it.
Yep. So
You take it.
from of course Jesper, I like Svensson, the other Svensson at 68. But also Charlie Hoffman, just because of course history, and why not? I think he can. His short game is good on a course like this. He doesn't have to bomb off the tee. And Sam Ryder, because if this goes into a putting contest and he gets hot, he's one of those guys that can put a lot of birdies up in 4 days.
Charlie Hoffman. Does he still wear the green glove? Because he got banned from my card once I saw the green gloves, and I've never played him ever again. So as long as he's wearing green gloves, Charlie, I'm not playing Charlie Hoffman ever again.
Listen, you pay me, I'll wear whatever color glove you want.
That's true. That's true.
You give me
we
some
got
money.
you back, Jason.
Great sponsor, too.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got in the 6K range?
So Patton Kizzire is my favorite play in this range.
I can't believe he's in the 6K range.
I can't either. He's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been really good recently, and I don't know what he did last week. I don't know. I think he did okay last week. But he's just been he's a guy that when he putts at all, which isn't very often, but when he does putt, he is a completely different golfer, and he putts way better on Bermuda than anything else. So I like him this week. That's really it for me in the 6K. I do have
I got Kaziri. I got Brendan Todd, the Todd Meister. I got Taylor Montgomery because he's very good early in the season and also at the Sony. And then I kind of forgot why he was on my card, and I had to do a little quick research. It's because I love my man Len Hochberg, and Len gave me a guy that does not rank well on my model, but he's made the cut 8 of the last 10 years here. He didn't play much last year because of a medical issue, and he's in the event on a medical emergency or a medical exemption, and that's Ben Martin at 6,300. So Ben Martin likes this course, has played well here. He was a solid weak field player earlier in his career before he got hurt. I never go wrong when I follow what Len Hochberg says in the 6K range. So I'm going to go Ben Martin a little bit.
I think he's Canadian, though, so I don't know if you want
Is he? Oh.
I might be wrong.
Oh, I don't know. Hold on a second.
Oh, he's American. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Rashad saying if you bought into the summer of Chan Kim last year like I did, he grew up in the area and has a connection to course, I believe.
Hasn't
you
been
never
that
know.
good though, for whatever reason.
Yeah, hold on. Let me find. He's 6,900. Where's Chan Kim on my card here? Chan Kim. There he is. He actually finished Chan Kim 18th in my model. Yeah. The only reason why he wasn't in the top 10 of my model is because he ranks 123rd putting in my model. But outside of that, he's all green across the board. 9th around the green, 19th on approach, 16th greens in regulation. So maybe we're going to star Chan Kim for a shot right now. I don't know if it'll make the final cut or not, but yeah.
It's a trap.
I think the missed cut on the number last year. Huh? Okay.
If there's a guy that
you on the number, if you missed the cut by 20, it's still a missed cut. Just so you know. Sorry.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
If there's a guy that you like, Jason, like you said, that could be one of these young up and comers who wins. Frankie Cappan coming on. I don't think he doesn't have his card yet. He's still on the Corn Ferry Tour, but if you want someone in the low range, I think he has he had 4 or 5 top 5 finishes in the Corn Ferry Tour last year. So he's somebody who definitely could be there to make a name for himself.
All right. So for the people new watching this show, something we've done, we started last year, and now we're going to continue it this year with Steve, as he's now part of the program, is we do 2 things, and we do just a friendly running competition throughout the year. We do a one and done competition, winner gets to brag, and we are going to do a snake-style DFS draft this week, and then we keep track of whose lineups. We each put our lineup into a contest, and whoever scores the most points wins that week. We cannot duplicate any players each other's taken. So we're going to run it really simply this week. It's going to be Steve first, then Jason, then me this week, and then me's taking 2 picks, then Jason, and back to Steve taking 2. We're going to run the snake pick. Then we're going to do the one and done. We'll go over any bets anybody has. And then for Rashad, we got to talk a little TGL. Now, I feel like I'm saying TRL, MTV, TRL. When I say TGL, hold on, I got jokes on TGL. Anyway, we'll get to TGL in a minute.
Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. So Steven, building your lineup. Is it Steve or Steven? I've always called you Steve, but your screen says
Oh,
Steven.
Steven? Oh, it says
Oh,
Steven.
does it say Steven? That's weird. I haven't
Steven.
written
I'm
down
like,
Steven.
have I been calling you the
what?
wrong name for a year now?
I gotta put my my actual name on a lot of stuff at work now, so I always have to add the N. Once I turned 18, people kind of just dropped it. Like it was a struggle to say the N, but so I've just run with it.
It's a lot of work.
I've been called a lot of other things. I've been called worse. So cool. I'll stick with Steve. It works.
All right.
Let me go.
Steve, who's your first pick in the draft this week?
I'll go Connors. I just think.
Connors. Thank God.
Yeah, thank you.
Jason, we've all won already this event because he took Corey Connors.
Oh my God. There's a T8 coming for him. We know that.
Exactly.
Exactly. I'm gonna go my man, Chris Kirk.
I was gonna take him in my first two picks if you did not do that. All right, so I'm going to go with my first two picks. I'm gonna go Cam Davis and Andrew Putnam with my first two picks.
Davis and Putnam. Like it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be pretty happy with that start right there.
I'm gonna go. I'm thinking value again. I'm gonna go Fishburne.
Fishburne, like that. All right, Steve, you're on the clock for two picks for your lineup right now.
All right, I'm gonna go Mackenzie Hughes.
I love
and
that.
I'll keep it here, and I'm gonna go Burger.
Burger man. Burgermeister. I like it. Except I don't like burger.
I like it. Well, I don't like it, but I like it.
I want to win these competitions. For those that don't know, before Jason's pick, I did terrible. Like I dominated early in the season last year, just like some of these January swing guys, and then I just fell apart. So I want to win this friendly competition more than I'm going to be so competitive and talk so much trash this year more than normal because I want to win this competition.
Plus, we also entered this in a lineup, so there's a chance that you can
and there's money on the line. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I think as a guest, I won 4 times last year as a guest. Just say
it wasn't that much. That's slight exaggeration there, maybe.
Maybe it was 3. Maybe
I burned that sheet of paperwork right away. So as soon as the season ended, Jason, you're up.
I'm gonna go Pendrith.
Pendrith. Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, so I'm gonna go with 2 higher owned players here. With my next 2 picks, I'm gonna go Keegan Bradley and Austin Eckroat as my next 2 names on my list here. If I can find it. Where's Austin? Isn't he like 87?
Who?
87 or 88?
87.
No, I think he's 89. 87.
There he is. I just can't see. He was there, and I just couldn't see him. That's all.
I'm gonna go with my man Tom Kim.
Great pick. I really truly believe Tom Kim wins this golf tournament this week. I really truly believe that. All right, you're on the board for your next 2 there, Stevie.
I'm gonna go.
You called him the one thing that you didn't talk about.
Steven.
Kitayama.
Okay.
And Harry Hall.
Harry Hall. I love Harry Hall. He's such a fun golfer right there. I love that guy.
I'm gonna go Benny On. We didn't really talk about him much.
We did not. And Benny On's right there in that same category as Keegan. A guy that should be pretty good this week.
Like obviously he's been good. He's got the tools to do it. He doesn't really win. The DraftKings and the sportsbooks love him for some reason.
Yeah,
he gets a lot of respect for a guy that doesn't win.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, because I was going to take Tom Kim, so I got or Benny On, so I got to do a redirect here and see. Yeah, I could do this. All right, so I'm gonna pivot slightly. I'm gonna take Russell Henley as one of my picks, and that leaves me with 6,600. So I'm gonna go with Tyler Montgomery, a January specialist right there. So my first lineup finished. It's mine. It's Cam Davis, Andrew Putnam, Keegan Bradley, Austin Eckroat, Tyler Montgomery, and Russell Henley. Jason, let's complete your lineup.
I'm gonna go Patton Kazire to complete my lineup.
Kazire, good. And Jason's lineup is Chris Kirk, Fishburne, Pendrith, Tom Kim, Benny On, and Kazire. Steve, wrap up your lineup right there.
Ooh, I got 7,800 left. Oh man, you guys took. I wanted Putnam. He is not there. Give me. I'm gonna go Dietrich.
Dietrich.
I like
Another
that.
guy we didn't talk about this week.
That's a guy
The guy that's been on the fringe of being a solid golfer
Yeah.
that just hasn't taken that next step. You know,
I bet him this week. So
did you? Okay.
yes.
All right. So Stevie's lineups: Connors, Hughes, the All Canadian lineup: Berger, Kitayama, Hall, Dietrich. Real quick bet. So Jason, you bet Dietrich. Who else did you bet this week?
Can you give me 4 seconds?
All right, Steve. Do you have any bets yet this week?
Yeah, so I have Connors at 1,400, Henley at plus 2,000, McNeely at plus 28, and then Siwoo at plus 3,000. And then I did a 3 parlay of Connors winning, Henley top 10, and then on in the top 20.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So I did Tom Kim, like I said, it was my first bet. Nick Taylor was my second bet at 110. I also have Russell Henley at 20-1, Keegan at 25-1, and Putnam 80-1. They're my bets.
Oh, there you go.
I'm considering adding something on Chris Kirk. I'm really high on Chris Kirk. Don't like his ownership percentage, but I want to have some financial investment in Kirk. So I don't know what his top 10 or top 20 number is. I'm going to add something Chris Kirk to the board later this week before the tournament starts on Thursday. Jason?
Like it. I bet Pendrith 35-1, Kirk 50-1, Thomas Detry 65-1, and then I did a parlay, which I don't know what I'm really doing on this one. But
Your parlay is insane. I
bet
saw it.
Hideki to win with Benny On to top 10 and Chris Kirk to top 10.
It's actually not bad.
Plus 164-1 odds.
164-1. Not
Yeah.
bad. Not bad. All right.
To clarify too, I just added Nick Taylor 100-1 right before the show too. So.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I love? I got trolled on Twitter because I posted my odds and my bets, and someone's like, "You got to shop your bets around." Dude, not everybody has time to shop around 75 sports books looking for the best odds. Not everybody has the room on their phone for 75 sports books. Dude,
Yeah,
I go to one sports book, and that's it. I don't got the time to do this. I'll take what odds I get. That's good enough for me, right?
I think if you did this for a living, that's a whole different story. But we're not.
Yeah.
doing this for a living.
Exactly. All right, one and dones. Let's start this year off with the one and dones. Jason, do you want to go first on your one and done?
Well, you already know Chris Kirk.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Steven, who would be your one and done? One and done's for those that don't know. You only get to pick them once. The way it works is every week, whatever that player is, you get that many dollar amount. At the end of the year, whoever wins the most money wins this competition. So we got Chris Kirk from Jason. He won't be able to use him the rest of the year.
Friendly
Steve.
reminder: don't pick Clanton because he's not going to earn any money because he's an amateur.
Is he still under the amateur? I thought, okay, that's smart. I like that. A little
There
bit of
you go.
information there from
Week-
you. That's who I was
Week
going
one,
to take.
Jason playing friendly.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't going to give you that information.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I would not have said
You
anything.
could have
I would've
taken
been
Clanton
like,
every week for
hey,
the next
Clanton
4
actually
weeks, and
looks
I would have
great
laughed
this
at you.
I'm going to go with someone just to get him out of the way, and I think he's going to actually play well. I'm going to go with Keegan.
Keegan Bradley. Okay, gotcha. A week like this, I'm going to go with someone I probably wouldn't pick the rest of the year, and I'm going to go with Andrew Putnam, one of my bets this week, and that's going to be my first one. Oops, I did that wrong on my sheet. Anyway, I'll fix that later. I'm going to go Putnam as my first one this week. We'll see how that goes out. All right, guys, tonight, 9 p.m. on ESPN, it is the debut, and this is for you, Rashad, if you're still there, the debut of the TGL, not to be confused with the TRL, Total Request Live, for you old heads, TGL. And the first funny joke I got out of this, I had a Google search to get the rules and the format down and all, and the first thing it said is that it unofficially stands for Tomorrow's Golf League. So this league is so randomly thrown together by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, the initials don't have an official name. The official name is TGL, and there's just a nickname of Tomorrow's Golf League. Does that make sense that the TGL doesn't officially stand for something?
It's just crazy that you can bet on it. To be honest with you,
I
we have
can't wait.
no idea.
I'm going to wait to see how it plays out tonight.
Yeah.
It's PGA Tour Topgolf, right?
I think it's more golf. It's a golf simulator. So Topgolf's more hitting into a field. So for those that don't know, TGL, it's basically this 250,000 square foot facility. Hold on. I got the whole entire article up here. I got a page to the top. to get to all the information, rules, schedules, and format. Here we go. Okay, started by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. It is Palm Beach State College. 1,500 fans it can accommodate. It is a team sport. Okay, 4 players per team. 3 players will play each week. There's 15 regular season matches. How they're going to do it is, where is it? Okay, here's the format. The first session of the 2-session format is a 9-hole, 3-on-3 alternating shot. So instead of alternating 2-person shots, it's alternating 3-person shots. Okay, they're going to call it triples. Okay, whatever that means, I don't know. But then after that, it's going to be head-to-head over 6 holes. So me versus Jason for 2 holes, then Jason versus Steve for 2 holes, and you get points for this. The key thing here, there's a 40-second shot clock on this course. A 40-second shot clock. Okay? And you lose a stroke if you fall. Instead of like a ball and a strike with the pitch count in baseball, you lose a stroke if you don't get your shot off in 40 seconds. You're hitting this giant screen. They got sand. They got real grass inside. They also have this moving putting green. So when you get to the green, then you move over to the putting green to make your putt. So this is a very, very big deal put out there. And I absolutely love playing on a golf simulator. My brother's got one built in his garage. There's this place in Glen Mills. Steve, I don't know if you know where Painter's Crossing is. In Glen Mills, there's one there. I absolutely love doing it. And I'm really excited for Tuesday night primetime golf way more than any of the matches that go on every couple months. There's actual money on the line here. And you got a bunch of teams. All the big name players are on a team right now. I'm excited for it. Steve, Jason, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
That shot clock is you sold me with that. I want to see just how these golfers are going to react to that.
Who's the slowest golfer on tour?
Mm-hmm. Oh shoot, who sits there and takes their time?
JB Holmes.
I don't know if they're on. So you got Patrick. So you got one team is Patrick Cantlay on a team.
Cantlay's really slow.
Glover, Horschel, and Justin Thomas. The next team, the Boston Commons. That's Keegan Bradley, Hideki, Rory, and Adam Scott. The Bay Golf, Oberg, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, and Minwoo Lee.
I like that
that's
team.
A stud team right there.
The Boston Commons have one guy from Boston and then a bunch of other people from around the world.
The team I'm excited for is the Juniper Lynx. Max Homa, Tom Kim, Kevin Kisner, and Tiger Woods, because of course. And then you got the LA people of Colin Morikawa with some British dude named Tommy Fleetwood on his team and Justin Rose. That makes a lot of sense. Sahith Theegala. Playing tonight is Matthew Fitzpatrick's team with Ricky Fowler, Xander Schauffele, Cam Young. And I think they're going up against.
That's a good team.
It really is. They're going up against the Ludwig Oberg team with Clark Lowry. I'm excited for it because Tuesday nights. What else is on Tuesday nights?
Right.
You know, who cares about the Flyers? Like right now, what else are you going to watch on Tuesday night? Then primetime golf, just hitting into a simulator.
Or get home from work, put on a little Fairway, then watch it.
Fairway to Heaven ends at what time is it? 7 o'clock.
Yep.
You go upstairs. I'm going to go walk the dogs real quick and feed them. I'm going to sit down and watch some golf. But realistically speaking, golf is in an interesting spot right now with the LIV PGA Tour divide still there, working towards bringing it together and all that kind of stuff. Is this something that can maybe excite some form of the fan base right now, Steve? I see you shaking your head.
I think so, because look at what all the other sports are trying to do, especially a sport like baseball that is slow and can be boring at times. They're trying to speed the game up. You're not going to be able to speed up 4 rounds of golf. So how can you get people interested in it? Bring the big names and put them in a format where now it's going to be like golf on crack, where you're actually then seeing these guys play where, they're not playing this week, but now you might have some viewers going and checking out the schedule when they can go see Oberg, Clark, Lowry, Minwoo, or like tonight. When's the next time Xander's going to play? He might not be playing on this, but when's the next tournament he's going to play? Because I might want to watch him for 4 rounds because it was incredible. You're also going to see these guys' personalities stand out some in something like this, where golf isn't a sport where you can really see personality, and you're going to be able to see it on ESPN. You're going to be able to bet on it and all that. So I think it's good for that quick instant, give me that golf fix, and maybe I might be more enticed to watch, Friday, Saturday, Sunday golf. And he's back.
What happened there?
I don't know.
He's
I also think it brings
interested
into the equation the Tiger Woods aspect of things.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is the biggest draw in golf, right? And he's going to be able to do this and play events and not have to worry about running and walking and, all that kind of stuff. I did just look. I don't know who said you could bet it. I just went on DraftKings while you guys were talking and did not see any odds on DraftKings for tonight as of this moment. So
I wonder if it's on ESPN bet.
I don't have ESPN bet. I have
Me
DraftKings and I have a Fanatics Sportsbook, and that's it. But Fanatics is not on my laptop. So on DraftKings, there is no bets that I could find on this. I'm even checking their promo page. No, there is not. So there's that. But, I'm excited for it because I think it's going to be fun. Like you said, Steve, personalities are going to be shown. There's going to be trash talking. There's going to be competition to it. Because the one thing about the matches, they just goof around. They're not taking it seriously. This is a team competition. There's money on the line and stuff like that. Not charity money in your pocket on the line. I think it's a great deal, and I think Tiger and Rory being in charge of it means that there's a good chance that there's going to be success with it. Jason, you're so out on this, aren't you?
It just seems like a gimmick to me.
He left. He left the stream. That's how much he's out on it.
It's gimmicky to me. I don't know. I'm not into it, but
I'm trying.
I'm not going to.
I'm trying for the sake of ratings to get into it.
Yeah.
Tonight will be a big
want
test.
Golf to be brought together. You know what I mean? Here's a way you bring golf together.
It's true.
The winning PGA Tour team, or the not PGA, TGL team, the Tomorrow Golf League team, goes 1-on-1 against the winning Live Golf team at the end of the year.
It just seems like to me like they're grasping for straws. That
Yeah.
I don't know. It
This
just seems like,
by the way, this only runs through March.
right.
Okay,
Which is good.
before major season, before
Yeah.
Players Championship
Which is fine.
season. This is a 3-month stretch here.
Yeah.
I think it's a good appetizer to get some more people interested in when the golf season gets really, mastered. That really, I feel like kicks off the, people interested in really watching the game. What other major is there that you really? Oh yeah, no, I set aside time for Sunday.
And the guys that don't play all the time, this keeps them maybe in a little bit better competitive. Like they all swing all the time, but they swing competitively or not, I don't know. There's some competitive nature to this. So I think it can help their games there as well. All right. I tried, Rashad. I tried to get everybody hyped for the TGL. I'm hyped for it. I'm going to be watching it. If I could bet it, I would bet it. I can't bet it, but oh well. So, guys, we're going to wrap up episode 1 of season 5 of Fairway to Heaven. Jason, any parting thoughts since you got nothing going on since your Detroit Lions get to take it easy for a week? Any parting thoughts today?
No, I'll be watching golf this week because my football team doesn't play. So I'm excited for the first real season, the first real event of the season. Pumped.
Problem is, my team's playing at 4:30 on Sunday, right during the final round. So I got that problem right there. Steve, any parting thoughts for you?
That's why he had that crazy parlay, because he's like, you know what, screw it. I can't watch anything with the Lions, so I'm just gonna watch this. Have a crazy. Hope it hits.
I'm gonna try to get rich.
Yeah, try to get rich this week.
Yeah, rich in bragging rights. That's about it for me.
No, I'm
Guys,
just excited that golf is back, and this is a better field than what you normally get this week. So it'll be exciting to get things rolling for this season.
I agree with that 100%. Guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in the first episode of Fairway to Heaven on the all-new STT Sports Network as we're trying to grow this from the ground up. You know what, TMC? I told you, get the hell out of here with that crap, you cry baby.
The last 2 days, it's been
down this round.
So horrible dealing with it.
Yeah, he's a pain in my ass.
God.
I love his support, but he's a pain in my ass. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Make sure you guys hit that like button, that subscribe button, the share button. We'll be here every Tuesday night at 2 p.m. We'll bring an array of guests as well throughout the season.
6
What?
p.m.
What did I say?
2 p.m.
Did I say 2 p.m.? Are you sure
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
I want the instant replay. Maybe I did. Sorry, 6 p.m. Tuesdays every single week. Once I get rolling, the brain just doesn't stop. You know what I mean?
He was on Hawaii time.
I am on Hawaii time. That's right. That's
For the
right.
Sony Open.
I appreciate
That
that.
invested.
That's
He even
right.
switches time zones.
I'm switching time zones. My brain's on a time zone lapse right now. Anyway, guys, Everybody have a great night. We'll be back next week doing the same thing every week. So everybody have a great night, and bubbles up.
Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 julep. Pop, 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 pop.